Hello, my name is Betsy, and I'm with CANNC, and I'm one of the teaching artists on the campus here. Today, I'm going to present this workshop, and what we're going to do in this workshop is to make decorative tea boxes that we fill with some of our own tea and some of these leaves that and flower parts and stems and so forth are things that we grew here on the campus of CANNC. All right, so what I have in front of me here is a tray full of the herbs and spices that I'm going to mix together and put into these do-it-yourself tea bags. They're called fill your own tea bags. You can get these either online or at local cooperatives, grocery stores will have them. Basically, it's a tea bag that's open. Once I fill it up, I'll seal it with an iron. So those are fun to make. I've been doing this for years. The main components of my tea mix will be these calices. They're called calices. They're not really the petals of the Hibiscus sabifera plant. They're actually the calices. And when they dry, they're this gorgeous ruby red. And if you've ever been a fan of herbal tea mixes, you might note, if you read on the box, that an awful lot of teas that you buy in the store have hibiscus in them. Well, we can grow our own, and we do here. And so we had a really good harvest this year. We also are growing lemongrass, and lemongrass usually will die at the end of the year. But for some reason, our lemongrass survived last year. And so we've got a good harvest to add as well. I'll need to kind of crush these a little bit. The cinnamon that I'm going to add and allspice are some of the pumpkin spice or mulled cider types of spices that I can add. So the main components are herbs, but I'll add in some spices there to really make it nice. So next, what I'll do is show you how I've mixed these herbs and spices together and fill several tea bags, and then I'll fire up the iron and seal them shut. So far what I have in my plastic container here are the hibiscus leaves. And what I'll need to do is tear them up a little bit smaller. If you have some kind of mechanical device to cut them finer, you could do that in a coffee grinder or something like that. But I prefer to just do this with my hands. Most of these things can be crushed to a fairly small size. You can see in my hand here, about the size you'll need. Anything that's big and sharp will probably tear the tea bag. So you want to crush these. You can probably take a spoon, crush these on the table. You can get something a little bit smaller. I find that this kind of activity is a great activity to do with family members. Somebody's making cookies, somebody's in the kitchen, you're listening to music. It's not anything that takes a lot of attention as far as you have to do it a particular way. So whatever herbs and spices you want to add. And because I really, really love hibiscus tea, I'm going to make this mostly hibiscus. But you can see that I've cut up the lemongrass pretty tiny. And I also have included in here some allspice berries. Allspice, cinnamon, hibiscus, and lemongrass. You could add peppermint. You could add chamomile. I don't want to add too many things because I really want the character of this hibiscus to come out. And hibiscus and lemongrass really go well with each other. We don't put any sweetener in this. We don't need to. That's something you would do on your own when you make your mug of tea. You can add your own sugar or honey at that time. But right now, we just have the herbs and the spices. So I'll fill a few of these up. Now you'll note that these are pretty tiny. So maybe 2 teaspoons. I'm just using a teaspoon here, and I'm making sure that I'm getting a lot of mixing going on in here. You could also add some orange peel. So long as they're dry and they're small, you can add them. That's a bit chunky here. I'm gonna take a little bit out. Okay, something like this. Probably smaller is better because you want to have a really good seal. Okay, if they're too fat, they won't seal very well. And if you think they're too small, just use 2 tea bags when you make your tea. 1. I love the color of hibiscus. They're just really gorgeous. When you watch the tea, when you watch this infuse in the tea, it's really lovely watching all that purpley, pinky red coming up. I'm going to dump this one out because the star anise needs to be crushed a little bit more. There was a sharp edge in there. And that's one of the things you'll lose is star anise always has this really pretty shape to it, which you'll lose when you break it up, but you'll get this wonderful essence along with that. So I'm just going to make that a little smaller. Fill that one up again. Get some of these nice. Doesn't take much. What's nice about putting them in these tea bags is that they will last for a while. It's a way of, you can store your herbs like this or in a jar and put a sealer on it and use the infusion type where you have a metal ball or something like that. But I love putting them in tea bags because that way I can give them as gifts and they'll last in the cabinet for quite some time. I'll fill one more. And get that open with the spoon. Again, these are quite tiny. Open. And you can do it by hand if you want to make sure that the specific little herbs you want get in there. I'm not going to make 50 of these or however many come in a box. I'm just going to make a few of them because what I like to do with my gift box, and you'll see the size, it is actually a tea box that I've covered. But what I like to do is to not only just put little tea bags in here, but I'll put other little goodies in there as well. If you feel industrious, you can make 20. I think most of these boxes will hold 20, but for today, I'm just going to make a few. So let's take the bags that we filled and seal them. I've already sealed one and it's sealed very, very nicely. So what you need is an iron, and according to the label on these do-it-yourself tea bags, it suggests that you put the setting onto the cotton setting, which is the highest setting. So you need to mind it, but I've only had it plugged in for about a minute and it's ready to go. All right, first of all, check and make sure that your bags are not overfilled. If you need to take some out, now's the time to do it, because I need a little bit of a, probably about a finger's width distance between the herbs and the sealing here. You can't really see what that sealant looks like. It's kind of invisible, but it's going to be about the same width that you see these other seams that have already been sealed. So all I need to do is press. Okay, I can go back and just make sure that I've got it. I'm on a towel here so that I can make sure that I'm not going to burn the surface that I'm underneath. Just sort of touch it on there. You can go back and catch the edges if you want. Don't need to set it very long. I'm going to check it. Okay, let's see if we can get the camera to focus there. Okay. And this appears to be sealed. Okay. All right. I'm going to continue doing these. Got two. It doesn't take very long to do. So as I'd mentioned before, this is a great activity to do with your family. You can do this in the kitchen. It's a great time to have conversation or listen to music, and it's just a lot of satisfaction with growing something in a garden and then being able to give it back as a gift to somebody in the family or to friends. I'm going to shift this one a little bit, so let's take some of it out. So usually what I have to do is take more out than I want, but I'll make sure that it seals correctly. Just a second here and there. I'm going to do both sides just to make sure that both sides have activated the sealant. Okay. There's no string or anything like that attached to it. You probably won't need something like that, but these work really, really nicely without it. Again, make sure that you have left enough room, about the width of a finger, the same as the other seams, and you should have no problem with sealing these. All right, so that's the end of the first part of the workshop. I've got 10 tea bags all sealed and ready to put into my box. The next part of the workshop will involve covering the tea box and making it decorative and pretty to put the tea bags into.